research also have shown, despite we went through the pandemic, the COVID-19 pandemic, that in less than 2 decades, Africa is going to be the workforce, the global workforce.
That's right.
Where everybody is trying to come to fish, Americans and Africans. So being a diaspora, being in the financial world right now, and then you aspiring to get into entrepreneurship, well, how do you think that we can bridge the gap? Because we should be able to bridge the gap.
Absolutely.
We should be able to bridge the gap. Because you made a statement, and then I heard, and you wrote on your Facebook that even though you are born in Africa, you are born here in the United States, Africa is born in you.
That's right.
So what do we do? What is the positive change? Tell me about it.
Absolutely. First and foremost, I want to give credit to that quote, where is due. That's Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, pioneer, visionary, Ghana's first president, led us through independence. And he was the one that made that statement. And for it to come from him, it just holds so much power because we were born here in the United States, but through the fusion of 2 African parents, and they come together and they create you. You can't tell me that someone who's 100% Ghanaian and 100% Ghanaian biology, they reproduce and then create something that's not Ghanaian, because 2 Italians don't reproduce and then create a Czechoslovakian. 2 Mexicans don't reproduce and then create a Nigerian. So 2 Ghanaians came together, had me, but on American soil. So that's where the term Ghanaian American comes from. And as far as bridging the gap, especially in finance and in business, one thing that I like that I've seen that Ghana did in the last 2 years, they did the year of the return, and then they extended it to do beyond the return, which allowed African Americans, not even just diaspora, but just black people in general, to reconnect with their roots. Because even though I'll be connected through nature, through my blood, through my heritage, my roots. And I'm grateful that I have that. Most of our experience growing up here is more cultivated by our environment, by our circumstance. So it's very hard to lose touch with your culture and where you're from if you don't take a conscious and deliberate action toward it. So with business, there are a lot of young African entrepreneurs doing great things. I was reading just about somebody who came up with some artificial intelligence methodology to detect the early stages of breast cancer. And we are here. And I think that we are just a silent majority because we're often classified as black. Because at the end of the day, whether you're Nigerian American, Congolese American, you're seen as black, right? And that's a beautiful thing that we're united in this way. But we have to take more of an effort to come together, do workshops, right? I see the Igbo people, they have their own conventions and things, a tribe from Nigeria, for those who may not know, and they come together and they share and they exchange these ideas and wealth. And being able to make those forums and those opportunities available, especially now in the remote world with things being virtual, there's endless opportunity for us to connect and get out there. Because I know a lot of people will be like, oh, I want to invest in Africa, but I don't know how. So then that responsibility, that conviction comes on the folks like me, like us, who we have to make sure that we account for all of our brothers and sisters here. Because like you were talking about earlier, right, how a lot of Africans, they come here for economic opportunity, furtherance and advancement, better opportunities for their children. Understand that none of this is possible without the sacrifices and the hardships and the trials and the victories, the good, bad, and ugly that was fought for by men like Medgar Evers, like Martin Luther King, like Malcolm X, and all of the activists before us, so that we could even have this opportunity.
Now, to connect the dots, right? To connect the dots, you're talking about the entrepreneurship. What are some of the steps? What are some of the steps? What are some of the behavior? What are some of the concrete, practical things that you think that you coming up, right? You coming up. We are talking about you. Your generation is very important to us.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and then to you to speak to your generation. What are some of the exhortations, some of the encouragement?
It's a very special and a unique generation for a variety of reasons. And I say the first step would be in branding ourselves and distinguishing who we are. So we take a platform like this, AfrigaZone, right, where it's dedicated to the news, updates, sharing culture about Africans and how it pertains to the diaspora, the relationship, and all things that pertain to that, right? And we have this source. But if Brother Ralph here doesn't take that initiative to launch this YouTube channel and expose this content, these ideas, this very important dialogue, then we're left in ignorance. And especially today, where the world is very digital, right? You know, we have Instagram, we have Facebook, we have TikTok. The amount of careers, I mean, I can tell you story upon story. You know, the views, you never know who's watching, who you will be exposed to. So make sure that if you're an entrepreneur, right, if you're a businessman, you have an idea, you have a service, you have a product, you know, you have to make sure that you stand out on the market. But you first have to put yourself on the market and make yourself available. That's what they call brand awareness in the world. Especially like in Chicago, you know, we have the Chicago Black Chamber of Commerce. There are a lot of young Black professional groups dedicated to the Africans, Diaspora. So many groups I don't even know about, different organizations. And it's key that we immerse ourselves in these communities, fellowship, and really just make ourselves get out there.
Yeah.
That's the first and foremost.
Exactly. Thank you very much.
Yes.
How is it like growing up, you know, here in America, being born in America with two parents, 100% coming from Ghana, and then be able to make it here? Tell me about it.
Absolutely. I mean, it's a very unique experience, and I'm blessed that God has put me in a position to have it. So it's like I'm growing up under one culture. You know, I go to school 5 days out the week, 8 hours of the day.
Yeah,
and you know,
spend more time in school with the American community than even your Ghanaian cultural background.
Exactly.
Yes.
So the way I could best explain this is through the concept of nature and nurture.
Yeah.
So like nature, by my heritage, by my blood, I'm a Ghanaian. When I come home, I'm chopping fufu, I'm eating jollof. My other American counterparts ain't eating that.
Do you know how to cook it too?
I do, actually. I do. I actually won a cooking competition for jollof in college. And so they know that the Ghana jollof is superior.
This fight between, this competition between Nigeria jollof and Ghana jollof, you are taking it to another level now.
Man, it's not even a competition. Man. The Ghanaians have won it.
Okay, continue.
But just to kind of expound on the nature versus nurture, right? Yeah. But for us in the diaspora, we are more so accommodated by the nurture factor because we didn't grow up and we didn't go to secondary school. We didn't have these common experiences amongst most Ghanaians. So it's like one foot is in one world and one is in the other because to say I'm American 100%, it's not possible. It's impossible because I didn't grow up that way. But to also say that I'm Ghanaian, it's also not proper too. So that's why it's Ghanaian American, and it's not like I could say I'm 30% Ghanaian and 70% American.
Right.
Like, how do you even judge it? How do you even determine that? You know, but gradually, you know, and as I've grown up, you know, you receive splashes and sprinkles of the culture in different ways, whether it's the food, fashion, the music. So it's been a great experience. Sometimes, you know, it's a clash because ideologies, you know, like small example, like let's say talking back, right? In American school, they encourage you to speak up, to challenge authority and ideas. At home, no, don't do that. And
in Africa home, that's a red line.
Big red flag.
Big red flag.
And I was always getting in trouble for that. But as I grew up and began to learn, it's just cultural differences. And my parents also understood, like, okay, he's not him trying to be disrespectful, but